Folks, buckle up, because what went down on The View recently is making daytime television history. When conservative firebrand Caroline Levitt faced off against Whoopi Goldberg, nobody expected the conversation to spin off the rails as fast as it did. But here we are. Sponsors are in an uproar, viewers are split down the middle, and ABC executives are scrambling to contain a fallout that's getting bigger by the minute. Did Caroline just pull the biggest power move The View has ever seen? Or is Whoopi about to land the final blow in this tug-of-war for daytime dominance? Stick around, because we're diving deep into the fiery clash that has everyone talking. Before we get to the explosive showdown, let's rewind for a second. The View isn't exactly known for its kumbaya moments. This is a show built on debates, arguments, and the occasional eye roll heard around the world. For years, Whoopi Goldberg has reigned supreme, often steamrolling over conservative guests who dare challenge the panel's liberal-leaning opinions. Some folks at home cheer her on. Others feel she's shutting down voices that don't align with her worldview. Enter Caroline Levitt, a young conservative figure with strong opinions and the poise to articulate them. She'd been invited to The View under the premise of offering a fresh perspective. But behind the scenes, insiders whispered that producers were secretly betting on a heated clash to juice the ratings. After all, confrontation sells, and the show has never been shy about stoking a little controversy. Little did they know, this face-off would become a 5-alarm blaze. The stage was set, tensions already simmering, but that was only the calm before the real storm. Caroline's appearance started like any other segment on The View. A bit of small talk, a quick introduction, and a polite exchange of smiles. Yet, you could almost sense the undercurrent of impending drama. Joy Behar tossed out a few light-hearted quips, one or two landing uncomfortably close to the topic of Caroline's looks and age. The audience laughed on cue, but the mood in the studio felt tight, as though everyone was bracing for impact. Caroline, however, didn't waver. She greeted each co-host calmly, a slight smile playing on her face. You could see she wasn't about to be browbeaten. Then Whoopi leaned in, ready to question Caroline's views on everything from national politics to cultural wokeness. That's when the tension cracked through. Like a lit fuse, the conversation was about to detonate in real time, and nobody was prepared for the fallout. Whoopi Goldberg kicked off her pointed remarks by rolling her eyes at the notion that conservative women face greater pushback in media. Joy chimed in with a sarcastic quip questioning Caroline's credentials. This double-team approach has rattled plenty of guests before, but Caroline didn't flinch. She fired back. Folks, this isn't about me. It's about a broken system where so-called wokeness is used to silence people who don't walk in lockstep with a particular ideology. And if you truly supported women, you wouldn't reduce my presence here to a matter of my looks or my political alignment. That statement landed like a thunderclap. The camera panned to Whoopi's reaction, eyebrow arched, lips pursed. Joy half smiled, as though uncertain whether to laugh it off or double down. Then, Whoopi responded with a trademark zinger, suggesting Caroline was overreacting and portraying herself as a victim. But the audience, they were on the edge of their seats. Social media caught fire almost instantly, with hashtag Caroline versus Whoopi trending within minutes. And folks, this was only the beginning. The spark had ignited. Now it was time for the full-on blaze that left everyone, including the show's producers, scrambling for cover. The second the cameras cut to commercial, producers reportedly swarmed the backstage area, whispering about how to contain what was quickly becoming a PR nightmare. The View thrives on conflict, sure, but rarely has it seen a guest so skillfully call out the panel's perceived hypocrisy in real time. Word on the street is that ABC executives started getting frantic texts from sponsors who were watching the drama unfold. A few had already expressed concern over the show's increasingly partisan atmosphere, and seeing Whoopi and Joy seemingly dismiss Caroline based on personal jabs amplified those concerns. Nobody wants to be associated with a platform that appears to belittle women, especially when the show itself waves the banner of women's empowerment. Meanwhile, Whoopi, unaware of the brewing corporate fallout, was evidently seething during the break. Insiders claim she was overheard telling staff that Caroline had crossed a line by playing the victim. Yet ironically, it was Whoopi's past remarks about conservative women that had been fueling online criticism for months. While the control room was in chaos, the real spectacle was about to continue on live TV with no turning back. Returning from commercial, Whoopi tried to pivot the conversation toward broader political topics. She threw out critiques of national figures and policies, seemingly aiming to divert attention from the personal scuffle. Caroline, however, refused to let the core issues slide. She calmly reiterated, "If we can't debate the issues without resorting to mocking each other, then we're not really practicing freedom of speech, are we?" Joy Behar took that as her cue to interject, questioning Caroline's track record and insisting that The View had every right to challenge her statements. Then came the moment that left the audience gasping. Caroline looked directly at Whoopi and Joy and said, "I'm all for being challenged, but let's not pretend there's an even playing field when you both attack my credibility and character before I can even finish a sentence." That line drew cheers from pockets of the audience and some audible groans from others. You could sense the tension shift. The hosts, typically used to controlling the narrative, faced a guest who wasn't backing down. The air felt electric as Whoopi attempted a last-minute comeback, but the clock was ticking. Producers signaled they had to wrap the segment. The final seconds on camera showed Caroline with a calm smile, while Whoopi's frustration was hard to hide. But if you thought the drama ended there, folks, hold on to your seats, because the fallout was just getting started, and it went far beyond the studio walls. Folks, the internet was practically on fire. Within an hour, clips of the confrontation flooded YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Supporters of Caroline hailed her as a champion who fearlessly stood her ground in a notoriously hostile environment. Critics labeled her a grandstander, seeking a viral moment at the expense of the show's co-hosts. Either way, no one was neutral. Then came the inevitable think pieces. Some cultural commentators argued this incident showcased the left-leaning bias of mainstream talk shows, insisting that conservative perspectives are consistently ridiculed. Others claimed Caroline was weaponizing the notion of wokeness to shut down legitimate critique of her political stance. Polls popped up online. Team Whoopi or Team Caroline? People debated the merits and flaws of both sides. Meanwhile, advertisers who underwrite segments of The View expressed growing unease. A few went so far as to release carefully worded statements affirming they support open dialogue but do not condone personal attacks. Behind closed doors, ABC faced the real risk of losing sponsored dollars if the show spiraled further into controversy. Yes, controversy draws ratings, but if the sponsors pull out, it's game over for any daytime talk show. While the social media flames burned bright, the network had its own internal fire to douse. That's when Whoopi's sudden absence added even more fuel to the rumor mill. A couple of episodes later, viewers tuned in to see The View's signature panel, minus Whoopi Goldberg. The official line from ABC? She was taking time off to reflect on recent events. For fans accustomed to straightforward reasons, like a scheduled break or a movie shoot, this vague excuse sounded alarms. Instantly, speculation took off. Was Whoopi suspended? Fired? On the verge of leaving voluntarily? Some insiders suggested the network had strongly encouraged her to step away for a bit, hoping the controversy would cool down. Others believed the absence was purely coincidental, that Whoopi had personal obligations, and the timing was unfortunate. Whatever the case, the audience wasn't buying a coincidence. Comment sections and message boards buzzed with theories about major network-level shakeups. If The View was once unstoppable, some now wondered if it was teetering on the brink of implosion. That sense of a precarious future led many to revisit Caroline's role in this drama, and how one guest appearance could rattle an institution that's been on air for decades. Caroline took full advantage of the spotlight. She appeared on podcasts, online streaming shows, and even gave interviews to national news outlets about her experience. "I never set out to destroy anyone," she told one host. "I just wanted to be heard." Turns out The View isn't as open-minded as they claim to be. That resonated with many who feel conservative perspectives get stifled in mainstream media. Critics, however, argued that Caroline was milking her 15 minutes of fame. They pointed out the merchandise she soon began promoting, items emblazoned with taglines referencing her clash on The View. Some folks accused her of cashing in on a culture war, while others applauded her entrepreneurial spirit. What's undeniable is that Caroline's brand skyrocketed overnight. She went from relative obscurity to a household name, at least in political circles. Younger conservatives applauded her fearlessness, dubbing her the new face of a generation unwilling to be silenced. Liberal commentators, on the other hand, blasted her style as confrontational and disingenuous, claiming she never intended a fair exchange of ideas. With Caroline's popularity climbing and Whoopi's seat in question, all eyes turned to ABC for the next move in this ongoing saga. Inside ABC, discussions about The View's future took on a frantic tone. In recent years, the show has increasingly waded into hot-button political topics, drawing praise from some viewers and exasperation from others. Now, faced with sponsor unease and a potentially fractured audience, executives found themselves at a crossroads. One rumored proposal: a rotating conservative co-host to ensure more balanced discussions. Another whispered plan involved shorter, high-intensity debate segments, so no single issue dominated the show for too long, thus preventing on-air feuds from boiling over. Yet another rumor suggested the show might scale back political commentary entirely, reverting to a lighter, celebrity-focused format. But can The View truly walk back from politics now, after years of positioning itself as a fearless forum for big debates? Critics doubted. Fans who crave the drama might tune out if the show abandons the very content that made it a cultural touchstone. And the show's co-hosts, some of whom built their reputations by standing firm on political stances, might not be willing to pivot away from the topics that sparked the biggest headlines. While the network debated these tough choices, viewer sentiment was more divided than ever, setting the stage for the show's uncertain future. Social media polls showed a near 50-50 split. Half thought Caroline Levitt pulled a cheap publicity stunt, while the other half considered her a truth-teller who exposed The View's supposed hypocrisy. Middle ground viewers expressed fatigue over the constant bickering. Even longtime fans admitted the show felt more hostile than enlightening. ABC's leadership recognized they had to act fast, letting the controversy drag on risked alienating advertisers who wanted assurances that their brands wouldn't be embroiled in another on-air meltdown. But any drastic change, like letting go of Whoopi, Joy, or both, could spark a ratings disaster in the short term. And for a show that survived decades by courting drama, is there a delicate way to recalibrate without losing its identity? That question leads us right into the biggest unknown. What does the future hold for The View and its embattled co-hosts? Folks, we've seen The View navigate controversy before, but this clash might be the tipping point. Caroline Levitt's appearance didn't just create waves. It revealed deep fault lines in a show that has, for better or worse, become a cornerstone of daytime television. With Whoopi Goldberg's fate hanging in the balance, sponsors sniffing around for safer opportunities, and the show's reputation taking a hit, the stakes are higher than ever. Will ABC decide to keep the pot boiling by featuring more guests like Caroline, doubling down on political fireworks? Or will they pivot, hoping to salvage the brand by dialing back the drama and focusing on more unifying topics? And what about Whoopi? Can she stage a comeback? Or has her influence finally reached its breaking point? One thing's for sure, we're looking at a turning point for The View. Its cast and crew might try to soldier on as usual, but this controversy could spark changes that ripple far beyond one talk show. So, folks, keep your eyes peeled for updates, because if Caroline Leavitt's showdown with Whoopi Goldberg taught us anything, it's that daytime TV can still shock us in ways we never saw coming. Now it's your turn. Are you siding with Caroline? Or do you believe The View is still just doing what it's always done, sparking essential conversations no matter how heated they get? Sound off in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more uncensored showdowns and behind-the-scenes scoops. Until next time, stay curious, folks. And remember, you never know which explosive moment will reshape the daytime TV landscape next.